Hi there. In this video I'm going to be setting up the network for different subnets and routing. So what we'll be doing is implementing this subnet here for the Egypt area, and we'll be creating this one file server in Egypt so we can mimic DFS over a site link. And I'll be changing this design a little bit here because it's a little bit redundant and you don't need to see things twice. So I'm going to get rid of this file server and we'll enable dedupe on both the Egypt and Canada side. So that will come over to this area and we'll demonstrate that. And to give you an overview of how and what I'm doing here. So this area on the left is what we've set up so far. The 2 DCs and the file server in the Canada with the 10.0 subnet. And what we'll be doing now is setting up this subnet here on the right, and we'll be using a router or a Windows server to act as a router to forward the traffic from one subnet to the other. Okay, and here are the 3 virtual machines that we'll be using to demonstrate and simulate this network. So here on the left we can see our DC1 in Canada. In the middle is our router that'll be forwarding the traffic, and then here on the right we'll have a server in the subnet that's in Egypt. Now right now they cannot communicate to one another, so this Egypt server can't talk to the Canadian server, so that's what we're trying to implement. And to demonstrate that, the Egypt server is 13.9 and it's using the gateway of 13.1. The 13.1 is the router, so we do ipconfig, and here we can see the Ethernet adapter labeled lab VLAN 13 has the address of 13.1. This router also has a second Ethernet adapter called lab VLAN 10 with a 10.1 address. And let's just do this one while we're talking about that. This here has an IP address of 10.2 and the gateway is the router 10.1, and which is the router. And here the router on the Egypt server is 13.1. So to confirm the network traffic, 13.1. So this Egypt server can ping the router, but if we try and ping, actually we'll do the 10.1, which is the same server, but it's a different Ethernet adapter. Can we ping that? Okay, so we cannot ping that other adapter because of the subnet. Well, subnet mask. And of course we wouldn't be able to ping the DC in Canada. Ping DC1 Canada. Well, let's use the IP address because I haven't set that up yet. 10.2, and that doesn't work either. And if we do the same thing in the opposite direction, 192.168.10.1, which is the router, but we cannot ping the other Ethernet adapter on that same router, and similarly ping 192.168.13.9. We can't ping that Egypt file server yet. So this will demonstrate how we do that. And the first step is to install the router role on the Windows server. So we can do that, add and remove roles. Next, we want this role to be installed on this server, and we need this routing access role. Near the bottom here we can see routing provides traditional routing capabilities including NAT and other connectivity options. So we install that, click on next, and we need some additional tools to help us manage that service. Of course it allows lots of other features that are capable, but we're not interested in that right now. We are just interested in the routing rule So as you can see, you can't edit, remove the direct access in VPN. It comes along with that. And we'll just accept the defaults here as well. Again, we won't need a bunch of that stuff. Click on install, and this process will take a little bit, so I'll pause it and come back when this is done. Okay, so the role's finished. If we were going to set up these other services, there's some more configuration to do, but we want to skip over that. The next step is to launch the routing and remote access wizard, or management console. And then we can right-click and configure the routing and remote access tool. We want a custom configuration, and we want LAN routing. Click on Finish, and that completes that step. And that's basically it. That's all you have to do. So now if we come back to your Egypt file server, ping 192.168.10.2, which is the domain controller on the left, which we weren't able to ping before. Well, now it's magically just working. If we do ipconfig all, I believe I have the DNS servers configured, which is the same DC. So I should be able to resolve DNS addresses. This server is offline right now, file 1 can, but it should resolve. File 1 can lab.local. Oh yeah, okay. So something isn't right. DNS suffix. That's good. But for some reason it didn't resolve that. So I'll work on that, but that's not the point of this video here. Okay, what's next? Okay, I'll just test one more thing here. Oops. Ping 192.168.13.9. So communication can go both ways. So now I'm going to configure this as a file server and create a share, and I'll put a fairly large file on that share. I'm not going to show you this because there's a previous video of how to do that in my series. So I'll just pause it, get all that done, and come back. Okay, so I've got the share and the folder and permissions all set up in a similar way to the other file server. So the HR department has access, read-write access to this folder and this 200 megabyte file that I just created. So just want to make sure that this share is actually up and running. So file 1 Egypt. I haven't rebooted this server and it shouldn't be required, but I just want to double check, and that's there. And from the domain controller, I just want to confirm that same thing. File 1 Egypt. Good. And I'm the domain administrator.